Hello, this is Mohammed, and in this video, I'm going to explain the cash plus offer which I'm offering to the listing agents for my cash buyers who are the hedge funds. Mostly, they are having enough cash to invest, and the approach they have is entirely different from the regular investment buyers, where the strategy is to give the offer very close to the market value of the property and resell the property by increasing the value and get the returns back to the original seller. And I'll show you different examples on how does it work so that you can make your mind and decision to work with me. So we are going to discuss about the cash offer plus, what exactly it means, how does it work, and where it works the best. We'll also see an example, a real life case study on how it worked. And I'll also talk about the commission split with the listing agent and what it means to the listing agent. So the cash plus offer is an offer on the market value, as I said, for the property in cash transaction. The property is resold after a rehab if it is required. And then the investor is going to make 6% on the offer price as the return. So if the property is resold for a higher price, that 6% will be based on the higher price point. And that's the only thing the investors is going to make. And we'll see the example on how much in that property the investor has made and the seller has made. So how does it work? In this case, the hedge fund buyers will work with me to buy the property in cash, and they can close as soon as 20 days, 21 days, or even less than that if needed. But also in the first closing, when the property title gets transferred, the seller is going to get about 75 to 85% of the value of the property or cash within 21 days. And that should be enough for them to pay for their mortgage, to pay for any other liens on the property, and still have some remaining equity so that they can inject it back into the property to improve the ARV. So the buyers are going to hold back about 10 to 15% on the property value, which is called as reserved. That reserve is used to pay for the holding cost during the time the property is getting ready for resale, as well as it acts as a hedge against the downside on the property, because the property may sell for less in very rare case. If that is the case, then as a reserve, as a hedge against the downside. Now, the buyer works with the original sellers to get the property inspected. And then, based on the recommendation, they will say, okay, let's do a new kitchen or a new bath or whatever that can increase the value of the property based on the similar properties in the area. And once the property is relisted for sale in the open market, and if it resells for a higher price point, as I'll show you an example, the original seller is going to get that upside. But in worst case, if it falls or resells below the initial offer price, then the original seller is going to lose that, which I can confirm that it's a very rare scenario. It has ever happened. At least I have not seen that, but there is a possibility, and that's why we want to put that into the clause. Now, this is called a fee-based model. So in regular parlance, if you see that a property is bought and sold by investors, once they buy the property, it's completely done for them. The seller has no more say or stake on the property. So if the investor has improved the property and resold the property, they make all the money, or margin-based investment, right? And in this case, this is called a fee-based investment, where the investors are only making 6%, which is they are capped to that amount. So 6% of the higher sale price of the property, that's what they're going to make. So their intention is to increase the value so that increases that 6%, as well as it increases the value and the gain for the original seller. And on top of this, they also offer flexibility in terms of the closing date, the move out date, so that the seller have enough time to get out of the property and get that property ready for a resale. So let's take some example. I have one example that we recently did. And if you can see the pictures, you might have already seen that this property was initially offered for 330K, and the seller agreed to that because it was very close to the market price, as I said. And here you see the condition before and you see the condition after. And similarly, the property was renovated for the kitchen. You can see that the original kitchen and final kitchen cabinets were completely changed. The backsplash and the tiles were replaced. You can see the living room also completely got changed. The bathroom changed to completely new tiles, new shower, everything, right? So now let's spend some time on these numbers where I can explain exactly what happened in this scenario. So the initial cash offer price was $330,000, and the total repair and renovation cost was $78,000 in this case, which is, again, it's a big number. But you see that the resale value or the resale price of this property came up to $555,000, which is insane. Again, this is not a representative case. It does not happen for each and every property, but this is one of the best case scenario where the property value can increase to such an amount that it's amazing. So the value increase was $225,000. And if you see that the property, once it was first sold for 330K, the first payout was about 75%. So the seller got $245,000, which was more than enough for the seller to pay off the mortgage and still have money back in the equity. And then the holdback was, the reserve was about 12%, which is close to $40,000, which was kept as a reserve in the property. And then after the second sale happened, the second payout came out to be $195,000. That this includes the profit in the upside plus the reserve that they had. So 40,000 plus 100, 55,000, somewhere in that neighborhood. That's what the second payout brought up. So the total net to the seller in this case, like I'm talking about net, right? It not include anything, right? It's all net cash to the seller was $441,000. Just imagine if the seller would have sold in the open market for 330K, the seller would have netted not more than $300,000 property, right? But now with this up is has already netted $440,000 on this property. And as you can see that the program fee was 6% of $255,000, which was $33,000 to the investor. So investors only made $33,000 in this sale, right? You can see that. And the realtor fee and the closing cost came out to be 7.5%, which was $41,000. So you can see the opportunity. You can see how much a seller can make if their property needs some TLC, and if they can inject some cash back into the property, and they don't have to put from their pocket, they have to put only from the equity. And that's how it's an amazing opportunity for people who have a house, who want to sell their house, but they want to put extra money to repair or renovate to get top dollar for their property. So that's how this is an amazing and offer for people who want to resell or sell their property, but they do not want put any money back in order to get the top value. So as you might have understood that this program works best when the house needs a little TLC or there's an opportunity to improve the value of the house. If your house is brand new or has been recently upgraded and updated and doesn't have an opportunity to increase the value, then it may not be a great opportunity. You may get you may still get a good number, good value, but you may not have an insane upside on that property resale. So this is where it would work best. And also, if seller is not willing to put a lot of cash immediately, then that's another option for a seller or a listing agent to reach out to me and talk about how do we a cash buyer in this case. So now let's talk about the commission split with the listing agent. So the first transaction that happens where the closing happens between the buyer and the seller, the iBuyer is going to pay me a 2% commission. And that commission could be split with the listing agent. If I'm working with a listing agent, I can split that commission 50% of this 2%. So the listing agent will get half, I'll keep the half. And in the second transaction, the iBuyer will pay 2.5% commission to the listing agent, which will be me in this case. So I can work with the current listing agent and we can work on a referral basis to get that 50% of that 2.5% commission shared. And most likely this will be on the higher value of the property because the property price would have appraised for a higher value if you have put some cash back into the property to improve the value. And then the rest 2.5% commission will be allocated to the buyer's agent, whoever brings the buyer in the second sale. That's where that 2.5% is allocated to. So this is what this cash plus offer is. And I believe this is one of an excellent opportunity for listings that are sitting in the market for quite some time and and for the sellers who don't want to put upfront cash into the property but still want the top value. This is an excellent program. Please reach out to me, set up some time in my calendar or call me. I'll leave the details in the description so that we can talk more about that. And I'll send the emails along with it. Thank you and have a great rest of your day.